Hey everybody, it's Joyce Loc here from Black Hair Compass, and I'm coming to you guys with another video. So I figured that I would take, so I'll start up. I am at my 2-year lock anniversary. This is my 2-year lock update. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, you guys saw a photo that prompted many of you guys to ask me, are you combing out your locks? And the answer to that question is yes, I'm combing out my locks. Yes, I recognize that's a strange way to celebrate my 2-year lock anniversary, but it's what I've decided to do. And first things first is I want to apologize because in my last video, I started it by saying like, oh, you guys don't have to worry, I'm not going to cut my locks, I'm not going to comb my locks, and I lied, like I really lied, and I think it's been about a month since I posted that video, and I have been doing a lot of thinking in that 1 month time period, and I've really come to the decision that I am ready to not have locks anymore. I feel like this news is gonna land people in like one of 4 positions. Like there's gonna be people that are like, yes, I'm super excited for what's next, like I'm so happy about this. Then there are gonna be people that are like, I really don't care what you do with your hair. Then there's going to be people that are like, we hate you. And then there's going to be people that are like, I support what you're doing, but I'm sad by this choice. And so it's to that group of people that I'm speaking to right now. And that's why I'm apologizing, because I recognize that for a lot of people, whether it's starting locks or if it's going natural for the first time, it really helps to have someone that you can reference on YouTube that is going through the same process as you. And I mean, I'm not someone who just makes videos. I also watch videos, and I remember when I was first going natural, and even when I started my lock journey, there were people whose videos I watched regularly as a source of inspiration and also to help keep me motivated. And I know how demotivating and discouraging it can be when one of those people that you kind of look up to decides to cut their journey short, whatever that may be, whether it's with their natural hair or with their locks. And so I know for that group of people, it might kind of feel like a blow. And so I apologize to you guys for letting you down, but I do also want to take some time to encourage you to continue on in your lock journey if that's what you're feeling convicted to do. Honestly, if I am being true to myself, I cannot continue on in the lock journey because it's really not something that I want for myself. But just because it's not something that I want for myself doesn't mean that it has to be the end of the road for you. And I want to continue. I want to encourage you to continue to move forward and stay firm in the decision that you've made to lock your hair if that's in fact what you're wanting to do. I thought it was funny because that photo that I posted to Instagram that I referenced earlier, like not only did it get a response, from people on Instagram, but also from my personal life as well. And actually a friend of mine who you guys know, Halise, she texted me and she was like, girl, what is you doing? And I was like, I'm combing out my locks. And she followed up, we talked a bit, and then she asked me a question that when I answered it, even though I was answering her, it was like I was also like answering myself. Like when I sent her the response, I was like, wow, yeah, that is true. And what she asked me was, what was it that made you kind of like, no, she said, so what shifted for you? And I'm going to just read my response to you because it is so exactly how I was feeling that I don't know how else to put it. I said, this is going to sound so superficial, but I just really didn't like my hair, and to cope with it, I just pushed the thought of my locks out of my mind. To feel better, I would just pretend they were not there. And my Instagram feed is all about locks, and I knew once I wasn't even able to appreciate other people's locks who I had previously gushed over, that this journey was over for me. And that is absolutely what happened. I was already kind of feeling like I don't really want locks anymore. But for whatever reason, I just wasn't comfortable giving myself the option to not have locks anymore. And I think it's because I invested so much in these set of locks. Like locks they are not a sprint, they're a marathon, and they require a large investment. I invested the entirety of my length. I had really long hair when I started. I invested 2 years of my time. I invested going through my hair looking really strange and awkward so that I could arrive at a 2-year result like it is right now, which is awesome. But it took a lot of investment, and so I wasn't comfortable giving myself the option to no longer have locks. And I realized, like, I took a step back and started to look at how I was behaving, where I was like, the only way that I would be able to cope with my hair is to just like not focus on it. And I don't mean that in a good way, because sometimes it is good to just like not focus on your hair, but I literally had to just like pretend that it wasn't there. That's the only way that I would feel comfortable with my hair, is just act like it wasn't there. And I was like, you know what, my life is too short to be like doing something that is one, voluntary, that I don't actually like, especially when I have so many different options available to me. So yeah, I mean, that's really what the tipping point was for me. Another person that I wanted to point out in my last video, I don't even think I responded to her comment, but I wanted to read what she said, because this was also, it wasn't a part of the decision making, but once I had made the decision that I was going to comb out my locks, my thoughts went back to this lady's comment. And her comment is kind of long, but I'm going to read the whole thing because I think that it's really a good comment. And so it's from Simply Me, and she says, Joyce, this is my favorite video of yours thus far. With that being said, I don't think you should promise us that you're not going to get rid of your locks. This is your personal journey, even though you're allowing us to witness it and share it with you. The length of your lock journey should be determined solely by you. I know you've asked yourself what your reason was for starting locks, but now it's time to ask yourself what your reason is for keeping them. I implore you to do what makes you happy. You didn't sign a lease or a contract. You can get out of this without penalty. You can also come back whenever you want. You'll also be more learned should you take the journey again. Perhaps it's time to trade in for something new, something that you feel suits you better. If you transition into another style and find yourself really missing your locks, start again. You will have so much knowledge to bring with you for your do-over. Your hair is beautiful regardless of what style you may have it in. I hope you land on the decision that will bring you the most joy. Don't worry, be nappy. And I was like, when I first read her comment, I ignored it because she was basically giving me permission to choose not to have locks, and that was an option that I wasn't even comfortable giving myself. So when I first read her comment, I was like, nope, ignoring. I'm not gonna listen to that. And then when I finally made the decision to comb out my locks, my thoughts went back to her, and I was like, she was so right. Like, I really should have given myself the right to choose. I didn't do that because I had invested so much. And this is going to sound kind of silly, but it's true. I remember when I was in college and I was in business school, one of the things that they like really drilled into us was this notion of sunk costs. It's actually like an economic phenomenon. It's where a company makes a decision and they invest a lot of money in it, and then like later on they realize it was the wrong decision, but because they invested so much money, they just continue down the wrong path because they're afraid to consider how much money they've lost. And that's really a bad business practice, because the decisions you made in the past should not advise the decisions you make today, because the information you have is different. You might have more up-to-date technology. Like, you need to give yourself the freedom to make the best decisions today and not have decisions from the past dictate what you do going forward. And while that was a business thing, that came to mind when I was thinking through, like, what am I going to do with my locks? And I realized I think she said in here, like, I know you're thinking about why you started your locks, but why are you keeping them? And I had no reason. Because I really knew deep down that I didn't want my locks anymore. But because I had invested so much, I was focusing so much on the sunk cost, I wasn't giving myself the right to choose. And so I really appreciate her comment, because it really made me like give myself permission to do something that I had permission to do all along. I just wasn't allowing myself to do it. And this is probably going to be a comment that doesn't really land well with many of you, but again, I'm keeping with being transparent and honest. I haven't combed out all of my locks. Matter of fact, I've made very little progress. Actually, I've made quite a bit of progress, but I have so many locks that it doesn't really look like a lot. So I've combed out the back, and I have a braid here, and that's basically when I'm focusing in this quadrant over here. And every time I comb one out, I just add it to this braid. But to be entirely honest with you, I don't regret my decision to comb out my locks. only time will tell. Like, it would be more appropriate for me to answer, do I regret combing out my locks when I'm like 2 months or 3 months post? And so I will do an update on that, but I really don't have any regrets. I've combed them out, and I am actually just more excited about finishing and not at all feeling regret for having combed them out. And I will say that again, only time will tell, but I really don't see myself relocking my hair in the future, and I can tell you why. I'm not interested in locks at all, and it's not because of the lock journey itself, it's the takedown. This takedown is profound. It requires so much time and energy, and I was thinking to myself, I just can't see, like, now because I am learning what it takes to unlock locks, I can't see myself allowing my hair to tangle to this degree again, because you do always have the option that if you have locks and then you don't want them, you can cut them off. But as a woman, cutting off your hair is not something that you just enter into willy-nilly. You do have to be of a certain state of mind to be okay to basically rock a low fade, or potentially be really, really bald where all you have is like peach fuzz on your hair. Like, you have to be you have to be in the right mindset to want to do that. And I'm not against it, because I've actually shaved my head 3 times, and each of those 3 times I was ready for it and I wanted that. In this point in my life, I don't want that. And so because I know I'm not in a stage where I want short hair, getting locks and then maybe not wanting them later would always mean that I would have to comb them out, and I can't see myself doing this a second time. Because I'm sure if I had like 80 locks or 90 locks, like, I could probably comb that out in a week, 2 weeks, and that'd be okay. With as many locks as I have, I'm fairly certain it's going to take me 3 months to finish it, and to go at the pace I want to preserve my hair as much as possible. It's going to take me until the end of the year to finish combing out my locks. And so I just can't see myself subjecting myself to that again. And so I don't regret combing out my locks or starting the process of combing out my locks, and I don't see myself relocking again in the future. As I said, I have started combing out my locks, and I have learned so much. One, I've learned so much about locks in combing them out, and I've also learned a lot in like proper technique for taking down locks. And so I'm going to let that be an entirely separate video. I'll probably film it right after this one, because there's so much information, really good information to learn about it, that I just want to share it and make sure it's really easy to understand. But anyway, for this video's sake, I know that there's going to be like mixed emotions and mixed reactions, but at the end of the day, I am doing what is absolutely right for me. I feel so much at peace with this decision. I felt a lot of angst in my last video when I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. I don't feel that at all now. I feel very at peace. I feel very resolved and determined to do what it is I've set out to do. And so, yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at. 2-year lock update. End of my lock journey. But as always, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time.